everybody to Appy Hour. Today's topic, materials makeover. An packed one. I'm just asking our crowd who's here with me live a question. Makeover. Where do you go? What do you do? What's your first step? If somebody said you have your $5,000 for a makeover, where are you going? No answers in the chat. And for folks on the recording or watching this, so we're all dreaming. I mean, we have our summer hats on. This is midwinter here. We are Laura is in our minds. Lynn in New York City. Or are you family out there? So maybe LA, maybe both. Or jet. Where are you headed? Oh, Greg's even better, going to Paris. Sephora. Well, I'm Home Depot. Like that, we actually just bought a new house, and I feel like every other day we're doing a makeover on some room. Dining room furniture for the first time in my existence. So for me, Depot is my place of make moment. But if you're looking to get, your hair done, you might go to the salon. If you're looking to buy clothes, Paris or Italy are great locations. And if you're looking to get a lot for not a bunch of, for less money, Paul, right? Let's all field trip. Colombia, we are headed there right now. And kind of what's driving and motivating us, the idea behind us and our agenda today, because it's over. We all do in our heads what we were dreaming of. We have this idea of this is what I want to do. But having the right tool to do what it is that you want with the renovation, if I'm looking to rebuild my house, as nice as it is to go hang out at my salon and get my hair done, that doesn't help me make my house get together. And we decided to focus today's presentation on taking a look at the core productivity apps. What they are equivalent to in perhaps our Microsoft world, and show examples of what you can do with them, and show tips and tricks, particularly anything you guys want to know as well, about what these different apps do and why you would use them in the classroom. So we're going to talk about apps, give examples and skills, and what's motivating behind all this. Well, that really comes with our idea of our technology integration continuum. And we've been doing this, and Lynn, we've been doing this a while now. And this continues always in the back of our head because we watch people who come at entry. We want to move you through infusion and transformation. And a lot of folks who adopt Google Apps, it may be you, it may be some of your teammates. There's a lot of leaders here at our today. And people will come at entry and they have a vision for where they want to go, and they might get that vision. They want to replace what they were doing before. And that's great. That's entry, and that's right where we start. But the tools that Google gives us, because of its collaborative tools, because of its real time, because of its flexibility, its speed, and its size, move beyond entry into adoption, adaptation, infusion, transformation, so that we're truly giving. Now are we making our own instruction awesome? Now are we making our own lives better? We're actually transforming where students think and learn and adapt and adopt themselves so that they're better 21st century learners when they leave us. So yes, we're focusing on this material makeover, and we're always being motivated by what is it we actually want to do. And we don't get to keep Lynn the entire time today. I normally like to. But Lynn, with that perspective in mind, do you have kind of some thoughts on that switch before we jump right into the tech?
People to remember that there's a lot more to switch than just switching. So you keep in mind you have to match what you want to do. So don't just switch for the sake of switching. Switch because it makes sense, because it's better for your students, not because we say to do a switch. Does that make sense?
100%. And it actually will help too. This webinar is meant to be pushed out the new folks. Hi, maybe you're watching this on recording and a friend sent it to you. We're going to try and give you the reasons why a switch from, say, Microsoft Word to Google Docs makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm going to drive today's presentation by throwing a link in the chat to you. The link is a Google Doc, so we're going to start by using it fairly authentically here. And I'm going to throw the link in the chat. If you click on it, whether you're recording or here live, if you click on that link, you will come to a document with me. And I'm also going to switch and share my screen so that you can watch this with me. If you roll your cursor or mouse up to the very top of the screen, if you're live with me, you roll your mouse up there, you'll see, you will float down and you'll see a little icon that has chat. And if you click on chat, you can send messages. So once you're there, folks would you get a little smiley face so that you can send a message to all participants? You can ask questions and thoughts as we roll through. The first app we'll introduce you to, and we jump on this one a little bit because I kind of combine two together, but the first one is Google Docs. Now what Google Docs is it is a word processing software. If there used WordPerfect back in the day, if you did, you can give me a, maybe some people loved it, maybe a WP. A couple. Right? So there are lots of programs out here that allow you to processing, and Google Docs is another one. As you see, I was able to type on my text, I'm able to write things in, I'm able to include links, they're all right here. Kind of the go-to for most folks when they switch over, they need another way to create documents, and this allows them to do so. My trick tip, and one of my favorite things about Google Docs is it's not just like why switch, it's not just a place for you to write and in information. It's also connected to the power of Google. So you can do tools, research. At the right side of your bar, you have a search. So search for quotes, maybe about motivation. Get quotes and just for quotes. I'll put a couple spaces. Actually, I'm going to insert a new page. This. Here, I can come down to my page at the bottom of the screen down here to click and insert my quote. See, again, why is this really cool? You're not just insert quote, you're also getting a footnote down here that tells you where the quote came from. And if there are other pieces, thoughts and things, I can, instead of doing motivation, maybe I want an image because visuals matter. So I can click, oops, I could open it, but I can also just drag and drop it over. Again, all of my documents is this. I know where this document came from. I know where I got it. And then what I invite you guys to do now is give this a try. Use the research. You could look at it. That was great. You can look at dictionary. And go ahead and on this second page of the document, type in something you find using the research tool. Now, how did I do that? I went up to Tools and then to Research. Panel appeared on the opposite side of the screen. Go over to your version of the Google Doc right now. You can add in maybe summer. Maybe you said you were going to Italy. Maybe you said your motivation or your Makeover means you're going to head to Paris and you want to search for Paris. I should correctly there. There, I could type in my own. If they come over, they come with little footnotes. I think a cool, powerful tool this is for not only you as you're putting together a presentation. You don't have to toggle over to Google. You don't have to get distracted. It's also a great one for keeping your students focused. Rather than having them just go to the web, they can right from within the screen. Also, I find this also behavior management-wise. I was watching some kids at summer school, and it wasn't really clear to the kids that they should be doing it this way. They still wanted to go to Google. Why do you want to go to Google? Well, I kind of go to Google because in Google you can get lost and you can start searching and wander about. But when you're doing your searching this way, it's much more focused for instruction. The kids know that you just find what you're looking for and get yourself back. So the things Lynn mentioned, which I think is a really good one, is you want to make sure you're not just switching for switching's sake. This is a really powerful tool that you can place on your side. Some other really powerful tools include voice typing. If you've used voice typing, give me a yes in the chat. Again, by going to Tools and clicking on Voice Typing. Here's cool about voice typing. Let me come down to my little quotes here. You can speak, paragraph, if you know what you're saying, period, new paragraph, and we'll type it for you. Paragraph. But like Gretchen and Janet, who have voice typing out of it, not just as an efficiency tool for me, I have it as a trick to use with my students. I have kids out there that still like to write notes. I do. I know what I like to do by hand and what I like to do on a computer very well. Well, those students oftentimes, you'll ask them to put their notes on a computer. Why? Well, they can take their paper notes and read them onto the screen. That way they're documenting things digitally, and it's also fake studying. They can pick up what they wrote or what they sketched or what they outlined and now put it into a computer. It's a modality. It really does help memory. It helps their organization because all their things are digital, and is an effective tool. In addition to your ability to images and content, your addition to be able to add content differently using these documents, you also do it collaboratively. Of course, we all here, yes, we're all collaborating together. That's because I went to my share button up here. This, with anyone in MCPS can edit. I'm a little advanced guy here, and I could have shared it directly with individual students. I could share it directly with individual people, like I just these people edit. The benefit of doing anybody with the link is I then email or pass along the link to my students, and everyone can get to it. Nothing worse, but we've all done it. If you have, tell me you have in the chat. You share documents with people by email, but you forgot to give them permission to edit it. It happened to you at some point. It happens to me more than I should admit. If that happens, I can get there, and you need to give them access quickly. Just go to share and make you shared with everybody in MCPS can edit, can view, or comment. Now, the new feature, and I find this to be a handy feature, is you can get rid of access using timer. So decide that Jason here he can edit it. Yay! I can click this little icon right here and set expiration, and I can give access that disappears in 30 days. So if you want access to notes for your students and want them to end at the end of the semester, you can do that. If you want to have access only be for a couple days, you can do that. If you give them anything that expires, anything you don't want, you can also set the expirations not just on the document itself, but on the folder that it's in. So I want him to have that access. I can have it get away. I could say what he can do. And what? As you see here, transfer ownership to another human being. Relatively new. It allows you to give access. Like me, if you ever forget, it's really quick. Just give it. Just go give, share, give it. Those people. Also remember another idea is if you maybe one student in your class doesn't have it, you could have a student next to them to share it to them. The kids know how to share, and they're really efficient at it. you can have them do that as well. Yes, Docs is a word processing program. If you roll little titles, it seems so weird. Paste. Oh, I can paste, right? But in addition to the basic tools, inserting images, we know how to do this. You can also get these really cool tools like research and voicing, even translate of documents that aren't really as readily available in the other word processing programs out on the market. Now I'm going to do a trick I use using drawing to add in directions to your document, just kind of a way to use it flexibly. If you have any questions, though, go ahead and throw them in the chat. If you don't, you can give smiley face to let me know. That's the digital version of a head nod, to let me know you're ready to roll. Anything you heard, anything you, or I just called it Word. Anything you ever wondered about Google Docs that you want to know? Do the Chromebooks have microphones built in? Great question. And yes, they do. Chromebooks have microphones built into them. So who wants to voice type can voice type directly into their Chromebook. They can also plug in a headset. If they have a little headset with a mic on it, that works as well. And you'll find a lot of kids have those in their pockets. A little white earbuds with a tiny microphone. They also have those oftentimes in their pocket. You'd be surprised. You'd be not surprised if you hear them listening to music as they walk through the halls. So the mic built in, and there's also a camera built in as well. So they can get to, the ability for them to record is really seamless. Great question. So drawing. Now, what is drawing? Anybody use Paint back in the day? That was the first program we used to use. It's like the most fun. 20 years ago. Ooh, Paint, yay, right? And some of us have used everything up through Photoshop. There are drawing programs galore out there. Well, I always think of a drawing as like, Google's version of Paint. As a standalone app, I could come over to File, New, and get a new drawing. And it could open in its own application, just like Paint does. You could do all sorts of good stuff. But one of the neat things about drawing is it's also a symbiotic relationship. It works with Google Docs and Google Slides. If you insert, you can insert a drawing. And what it's doing is it's opening up the program within your document. You don't have to go anywhere to make it. I think drawing is a really efficient and effective way. This is really adoption of getting your directions page. So you can come drawing. I did a miserable job drawing this one here, but forgive me. Draw yourself a nice little colored box. Change the color because this blue annoys me. Type in your directions. Oops. Be a little silly with me. Directions. Yeah. And then type in do this. Now let's do it. Just put a drawing. You can see from my clicking, you can't write on it. It plots in a drawing with my directions. And the benefit of this is, especially when you have kids collaborate, like we have, 10 kids in one document doing something, you don't want them messing with your directions. Putting it into this kind of drawing environment, well, it doesn't stop kids from typing on because it is a collaborative document. It does set your directions in stone. It pushes them kind of in a unique kind of solid way. It makes them look very official, and it also makes them easy to see because they're nice, big, and pink. And scroll down for a quick second here again to our page with all our docs. I'm going to clean delete us out. And I'm going to invite you guys to insert a drawing for directions or really anything. Just go to Insert, pull down to where it says Drawing, and insert a drawing into this document. For other kind of better ideas, if you're giving this, and those of you guys in the recording, this link is open. You can click on it, or you can open up your own new doc, and go ahead and insert a drawing. This page is going to stay blank. press save when you're done. If you're done, it doesn't pop back over. So go ahead, put a box on there. Maybe you want to change the background color, maybe change the link. And your job. If you're recording, it's a nice time to pause and just take your time. Doing it live, I see Paula has cow direction, right? You also put your text into the box as well. More down here as well. Put your directions. Documents like this, it's just, this is just a nice routine rhythm and protocol that you can use. You can see that you can wrap text or break text. I'm going to pull Paula's up here. The difference between wrap text and break text. Your margin, if I need some more space around it. And if I edit it, I just click edit. You can see I can come in and collaborate with Paula. I can out with her stuff, add it in as text. And close. If questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. If you can give me a smiley face. Now, I want your attention to this docs segment here. What we did was we posted a bunch of kind of different examples of how you can use your directions on the page. We're not going to touch all of them, but I am going to show that I have this link here. I'm going to press change so I can copy it for you and throw it in the chat if you did want to look later. But I'm going to show it to you on the screen right now. This is directions. It's actually a teacher's modified version of something I did last summer, and it's meant to be directions for students. When material makeovers, knowing what you want to do with stuff is really important. So what I'm going to suggest is if you are giving them directions that's entirely meant for them to just read. We've all done that. We Xerox directions to the project and send it out. Whoosh. These should not be shared so that the students can edit it. These should be shared. Click share. And I'm going to, oops, this isn't, well, it should be shared, right? I'm going to click share here. Link and view. Anyone in Montgomery County can view, or just my students can view. This is important. I've seen people share directions. They're editable. You want to edit your student editing your directions. So if you're going to share an assignment with students that are meant entirely for them to read and understand what's going on, you don't want them changing your rubric at the bottom of the page. Do you? Absolutely not. You don't want to do that. If you're giving out them to do, like perhaps this document here on effort and motivation, this is clearly intended for students to fill in. And if you have them to fill in individually, if this were in a paper-based world, you would Xerox a copy and give them each their own individual copy. So how do you deliver students information when you want them to make a copy? Well, I don't want to just highlight this link and send in the send it to them. This sends them all to my copy, and I want them to write a copy because I want each individual kid doing their own work. In that case, rather than right-clicking up here and copying, I suggest you change the word to the very end. See, edit, ET, to copy. Link. So I'm going to toss in the chat. If you do want to check it out, you can. But I'm also going to show you that now that I wrote copy and pressed return, look what happens. Now, instead of taking the students to the document, takes a page with one handy blue button, that they can make a copy of it. They click a copy. This makes themselves their own copy of the document. It's like a little portable Xeroxer for Google. Give each student their own individual document that you want them to work from. You can change the end of the address to where it says add to copy, and it will change it to copy. If I wanted you all to do this together, I would just make sure my share settings are good only to me. Gracious, no. I want to get that shareable link and make sure everybody can edit it. So if you do want kids to collaborate together, you want to make sure that they have set so that they can share. Back to what are you trying to do and why do you want to do it? It makes sense that way. Great, Janet. Do I students? Do I answer them in email? How to get things to kids is really up to you. Just like in your classroom, people pass out papers differently. I'm one of those people who taught my students. I always send like 30 copies of the worksheet down a row, but the protocol was the last kid in the row just held up all the extras. I know I had to count the number. It was this way. That was the protocol. You'll find the protocol that you want in your room. So some people do email. They say, look in your email for today's lesson. Others, Google Classroom. I know a couple of us mentioned they use Classroom. So they will share their documents through Google Classroom. And we have a couple of hours that we really push strongly into Classroom. Folks use short links like bit.ly. Got a little bit.ly link right here. It's through like Google Later, TLY. You can I can make a little bit.ly link here. I'm going to call it. See this little bit.ly hello 45, which I can copy. I might write this up on my board and tell students go to this link because it takes a long link and sends them there. So to get places quickly, I can use short links on the board, write it on the permission, write it with chalk where possible, and they can get to the document. Okay, and this is one of my favorites, and it actually brings us down to slides, which is Google's version of PowerPoint, is to hold your instruction using Google Slides. So, or a controlling document like this. You get students to one document, like one PowerPoint, one slides presentation, and you put all your links that you want them to go to over the course of time directly in that document. Let me see. I don't know if I have an example of one of those. Let me open this one up and see if this is it. Oh, one. But I can show you, actually, let me pull up open. The kind of scaffold, if you get them to one document, like you're controlling documents, I'll take you to an example using Google Docs. I wrote this on the board, and then this is my whole day. So this is summer, so it's intense. I wouldn't do it in 45 minutes. But the student can come in and see everything we're doing for the day. And when I want them to do scenario 1, they just click on this link. When I want to watch this video, they click on that link. I see a lot of people do this with slides as well. It's an easy transition from Active Studio, where we're used to having all of our objectives on one slide, and we want kids to do today. They use Google Slides to do the same thing. Which one's the best? Well, that really depends on you and your style. You controlling Google Docs like this. With kids, I like to work from a slides presentation. They do slides. I know people who swear by Google Classroom. It's super easy and they love it. Whatever works best for you is what's best. to pop back and jump down to slides, slides, as I mentioned, is Google's version of PowerPoint. They share software slide experience. And out there used HyperCard back in the day. Was it HyperCard, HyperStudio? Gosh, I'm dating myself. We may have some Keynote folks there. Maybe we have some Mac people who swear by Keynote. This is the same idea. It is a slide presentation aid. And again, it should feel pretty familiar if you're used to PowerPoint. Your edit, your view, your insert, all of this should be in here. Now, I'm giving you a pull switch back to here, and I'm going to start with right here. Now, you would think, for the most part, you use your old PowerPoint, your keynotes, your slides to present content to students, and that is absolutely true. But one of the very nice things about using a slide is it's a lot easier to make posters, presentations, things than it is in docs. And when we hung out in docs and I had you put in your different down here, it was hard to get it look exactly where you wanted it to go. I mean, your rat text are actually pretty visible when it comes to placing things where you want them on the screen. Whereas if you're a Google, it's a whole lot easier for you to go insert, place like a fun shape and a call out on screen, and which way you want to go. So Lisa's example here of the water cycle is really useful because you can see she was able to place things exactly where she wanted them to be on screen. I'm going to throw this in the chat here of my example, and I'm going to insert a new slide. Like one. If you guys go ahead and click on that link, I'll make sure it's shared with you, so everyone can find and edit. Wonderful. Go click on that link and prove to you what I mean. Go ahead and find yourself a shape, insert, or you can insert an image if you want to. You're feeling nostalgic today, and you're in of your college. Get one right here. You can plot down your images right on the screen. You can draw it and see how you can move it all around the page. And down. Once you guys are on this first slide, I'm going to sneak you over and put you on the second slide. I mean, you all know you can use slides to present content in a lecture format. Congratulations. But you also use it to design print layout. Sometimes way easier than you could otherwise in Word. It's just much more flexible. But you're not stuck with being horizontal. Break out of the mold. You're not stuck in PowerPoint either. But you can do it here as well. When you go to your slide, you can change which way you want it to look. You can look horizontal if you wish to. So that you can add your images here. You can place them down. You can go to your file page step and switch size of your screen as well. You can make it bigger or smaller if you choose to. So you can print to the size paper that you want or those pieces as well. You put in your images, you put in your boxes. Another image you can use that I bet you never thought was as useful as it will be is shapes, and this rectangular shape right here. I'm going to call it a big one. And notice I hid some things for you, and of course you can type in here. the instructional ways I'm using this, and I love this, is I find slides to be a great place for kids to collaborate. Is it? Well, it's not like a Google Doc that has a big long page and the kids have to type and not type. It's so easy to assign each kid a different slide and give them something to do on said slide. So if you give them directions, like let's say your goal for today is to have them do 5 things. You want them to find a word, you want them to give an example, then to write 3 sentences. That are sentences somewhere close to being spelled sentences. So you come in and create a slideshow presentation. You make a box and put it on the side. Now all your students can come and get their own slides because you just duplicate it, Control-D, or duplicate. They're on the side over here, but they still have this really nice square shape, very used to designing, and they can do their work on the other side, on the white space. And when it's time that you want kids to share, maybe up at the board at the front of the room, or even just sitting in their own seats, you can have the kids just page through where they are. And you can tell where kids are. I can tell Anne, you're on this side. I can tell Kristen, you're on this side. Sylvia, I can tell you're here, because I can see where your little faces pop up. So if I tell everybody, I want you to go to slide 4, because Paula did something awesome on slide 4, I can tell when all your faces are here. Because each have individual space, it's really easy to tell where they are. So you'll have someone's on somebody else's slide messing around with things, and you can navigate through. This as an example, I love this for doing studying. How when I did my review sheet, and I pasted a link to this one in the chat for philosophy last year, I put a term on each of the different sides, and then my directions on the left-hand side of the screen. And then the students went through and I pulled a different term and started defining it, started giving examples. And then we did our review. I said, well, what do you think what questions and terms do you have? And the students moved their little faces to the different slides to see where, what we did to define. And then what was even better is when I finished out loud. And we all know that last day of reviewing for tests, forgive me, elementary folks, where you're just answering questions as fast as you can to help the kids. Right? We have all had that day. I don't know if we're supposed to say we had that day, but I totally had that day. And this way, when I gave an answer, the kid who had the question's job was to write it directly in the sheet. So you had a question about white fallacy. Your job was to sit there, and if I gave you an answer, you had to write it in the slide for everybody else. So it was a much faster way for them to collect information, and it was very powerful as well. And that skill of inserting a shape, which is just a square shape, on the side is what makes it possible. When you're in slides, you insert images, you can insert anything from YouTube. It's super easy to find. Search just like you could within Google Docs as well. And you had a benefit of being able to flexibly arrange this like this one here and is on your page. Presentation tool. It's actually one of the more powerful collaboration tools that we have for students to use. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. If you don't, give me a smiley face. That's what we're going to talk about are sheets and terms. Pop quiz for the room. Sheets. What is the Microsoft equivalent of sheets? So what is the Microsoft equivalent of sheets? sent to me privately first. Access, absolutely. It worked, actually. Both of those answers are correct. If I jump too much on that, I have two questions to think through. Would students add text boxes themselves to write on slides? So, I got so excited to come over to the sheet. You do it yourself if you choose to. So if I had put a text box on here, I could say, fill in your answer. They would be able to come in and fill their answer. And they can insert a text box themselves by just on the little text box here and opening. And for the most part, like I haven't seen any students who don't do that. And if they don't, it's worth the 2 seconds because that's a skill for life. So the question is, would they have to add the text boxes themselves? In most cases, it's just easier to have them do that. And this is a protocol they get used to. They let the colored bar on the side is directions, just like drawing. Don't change the directions. Drawing, so they know that colored box is the direction. And to fill in on the white space, they get really used to that. And my next question was, if you're using a Promethean board, can you write on the slide? That's a great question. So you put your stuff on the board. Can you write on them? Well, your Promethean board still comes with all your Active Inspire software. So you can write by hand on the board. One of the things that I've come to find, I think it's faster and it's more active, is while I'm standing at the board, all my students are looking at their Chromebooks at this presentation. And so when I want something written, like if students are writing answers or adding depth or detail, and it's kind of a Q&A, I have my students type the information. So if they had a question like, how do you spell Lafayette? Yeah. How do you spell Lafayette? If they need to research, they can type born, right? Let me put them in here, American Revolution. And of course, is good enough to know and figure out, yay, here I am. They can get a picture of him, throw it on the screen. They do that. We need his name. Let's get full name here. He had a heck of a name. And so it is in your answer. And I had the kids just type directly on the slides while I'm moving through them. And that way I don't have to waste a lot of writing on the board using the Promethean pen. I can just get information I need. On the other hand, you can still use all Active Studio tools, so you're good to go with on top of it in that way. Over, and yes, you guys are right. The sheet equivalent is or they both work in here. They both have a tremendous amount of power. In this case, I'm using it to collect information from students about their work. Now, I'm not going to go too far into, most of us don't use Excel a tremendous amount with direct instruction, but I do find it a very useful place in which to collect information. So students write their name, their topic, and a link to a project. How do they put in a link? Well, they just copy a link and paste the link. Or they could come in and go insert link and can say click here. Or they could click on this little guy that looks like handcuffs or a link in a chain and do that. I find this handy dandy. You want kids to share their work in a common place for you to go later or for them to look at later. So me here on this one, you can click on the link in the chat. And my challenge to you, those of you guys I'm recording, you can pause after this one and try the challenge. But those of you guys live, come on in, is click on the link. I'm going to edit. Yep, you can. And your name. I'm going to type mine. Yay, Carrie. And add any link you have. Your link can be as simple as the one you just clicked on. I'm not too pressed with what link you use. And you can do it with insert link. You can do a clicking link up here. Or paste it in. And you paste it in. This is kind of ugly, so you can click on it and you can choose to edit it if you choose to. By adding the link, and then you can make the name better. Yep, you got Google in there. This trick works in all the programs I've showed you, so inserting link is the same in all of them. I like this because if students do projects in a different bunch of places, like maybe they do a Powtoons or a Weave video or a YouTube, I get them to put all their work in one location, and then I can grade it from here. That way I'm not looking in email, I'm not hunting and pecking for things, I'm not looking all around. It's all streamed right here. Coming soon. Yeah. My husband is so excited, Paula. He could tweet watch with you. I mean, he is a fan of the Olympics. So this is she. She's also really handy when you want to compare it up with forms. This one, like this is one of the forms. Like, hey, pretty much kind of assume now everybody has taken at least one Google form. Montgomery County Public Schools. It's kind of hard to avoid it. We've all taken a survey of some sort at some point in our existence. But that's how many of you guys have used forms for no purpose already. Like, what have you used them for in your classroom? How do you use forms? If you use any, that's okay. You can give me a day. But if you have used forms, what kind of things have you used them for? Go ahead and throw them on in that. Sure, Common. Jan, you're going to get excited then. I'm so excited. Citizen surveys, absolutely. Students. One of the most common ways to use forms is asking of how do you know? Because what does it do? A form asks questions and collects information and then chooses it to a like this one. So it's a handy way to get to know students. But it's also a really cool way to learn. The example I threw here, and I'm going to put it in the chat as well, is on helping them scaffold essay writing. What I did is I made my form. Actually, this is 30. Let's make that bigger. Look at your changes are made. If you're and something is wrong, that's how fast Google can change it. So what I do. The first thing I did was I embedded a video here on thesis statements. So the student sections say, watch this video so that you learn what thesis statements are. After you've done that, I want you to pick your subject for your class. Inspired. I remember who said Italy, but I want to go now. Thesis. That's thesis, but go with me on it. And then you'll see I have topic 1, topic 2, my facts, and submit. And what this is going to do is it's going to, there's a lot of stuff it can do. What you just ask the students to do is scaffold their writing to get their thoughts out. You can actually use the power. We have a lot of kind of form resources to help with this as well, to help print out. It can put it in a document for students so they can write from it later, and it also emails all their ideas to them. So what you're able to do is help students scaffold their thinking using a form. Use forms to collect student answers in projects, like logical fallacies. Oops, that's the right. Like this logical fallacies collection guide I made here. Oops, that's the wrong ones, forgive me. But I meant to have students select which want to do so that we weren't duplicating. And then there's also elementary like to use these as morning check-ins, information they need from students, and how collected into a handy-dandy Google's finished. Now, jump all the way into, sorry, I linked my collection guides there. I'm sorry about that, folks. But we don't go all the way into how to do forms here. But if you do have access to a form, it will have a little edit the form right here. It's as, you know, do you want enough to get started in forms? Create one. And if you look at this little bar space right over here on the side, you can add a new question by clicking on the plus sign. You can add a video by clicking, it looks like YouTube, right? You can add an image, that, and then all you have to do is send it to your students or do it, and you'll be able to take your form. I'm going to toss a couple links into, we have a lot of really good form guides to help you, but at a number of different Appy hours that will help you with you as well. So I'm going to throw those in the chat right now. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask me, and I'll be glad to answer. You can smile on my face and how to create a form in the chat now. Each of these different programs does match, except for possibly forms, to other software you've used in the past. Whether you were back with me dealing with a HyperCard, making stacks way back in the day, or whether you've come on board and you use Google Docs all through college and this is your one word processing program. One of the important things you can do is make the right match between the software, program, and need. And each of these tools, one of the same things our old tools did, has this added layer of collaboration and connection that you can get not just between you and your students, you and your fellow community members, and you and the world. Taking advantage of those tools and teaching students protocols of how to use them is one of those things that moves you up the integration continuum, and that really gets to a transformative process. When you provide the learning context and teach students how to use it, these are all things like teaching them to play nice in a Google Doc, teaching them how to collaborate together, teaching them how to work for these processes, teaching them different tools and tricks that they can use to be more efficient and do things better. You really start to infuse technology. This isn't just about having the students do the worksheet you did before using the new tool. Showing them what you want them to do because you told them to do it. This is giving them the tools that they need to use through our instructional programs. That's what we do, so that they can take them and run with them later. And so as you think about your material makeover, whether you wanted to head to Italy, Milan, Colombia, or Home Depot, about what the tools are, how they can work for you, and how you have that hidden layer of instruction in your makeover that every makeover has that lets the kids do it later. You know, it's not enough to have them just hammer the nail. We want them to know how to hammer the nail later. It's not enough to put the makeup on and look gorgeous on wedding day. And good makeup artists should give one good trick every time I go to them so I can look more beautiful on Tuesday, not just on Saturday. And we guys, particularly with this and other shows, to share them with the folks you work with so they too can pick up on these these tips and keep connecting with us. When you come up with great ideas for how you're doing stuff, share with your instructional technology specialist. Tweet Lynn, tweet Lisa, tweet out, and let us know what you're doing, because not only do we get inspired and we learn from you, we don't get to teach kids all day, so your tricks help us, but we also take them and help other people do better. Need help with this or anything that you've learned in Appy Hour? Each school has at least 2 instructional technology specialists. We do Appy Hours in the summer with our PD in PJ's hashtag. PD in PJs. You can follow that hashtag to learn cool stuff and join us during the school year. And of course, please, by all means, visit our Appy website. It has links to, I think, about 30 different hours that we've done over the course of 2 years. And you can watch them at your leisure, and we do give you PDO credit for doing that. So we give you credit for that. Question about connecting, as you're always trying to find new ideas. Is there a place where MCBS teachers have shared forms or other documents they've created? I'd like to convert my AP rubrics to forms, but if someone has created them, I don't have to do the work. It's a great question, Paula. We do have one centralized space beyond the Instruction Center, but I do know the foreign language folks, give them a shout out, Francois and folks, they all came to our summer conference. They're very interested and engaged, and I would shoot them an email and see where they're putting things. Particularly, you get a free bonus point. I showed you at the end of the presentation, or in the presentation, I showed you how you can take a Google Doc and change it to copy at the end. You now do that with Google Forms. So made a Google form, if you change the word at the end, which say view form, to edit, if you do that, it's possible to create one form and make lots of copies of it. So if the language department is interested in working with you on these guys, if you get a cohort of teachers, everybody makes one. I've seen that in social studies, and then share. It's really it could be an efficient way to get these things out there. And if you are looking to do that, just connect with me or your IPS, and we'll be glad to help kind of set up with them. They're interested and engaged in this Google stuff, and I'm sure they'd be happy to help. To access other, and you want to access other Appy, you actually probably would. I don't know if you find this on the MCBS website, but you will find this here on Google Sites. Make that mark right now. And if you follow me on Twitter, CD454, if you do that, you will, I have a tweet a couple times a week with recorded hours and all our live shows, and to get all that information as well. On the summer day, or if you're watching a recording on a cool winter's eve, either way, keep on acting cool apps with Rockstar Instruction. And thanks so much for joining us today at Appy Hour. It's good to have you.